During this call, my emphasis is going to be reviewing the business and your operations over the last year. What I want you to get out of this call is an understanding of the data about, did you meet your goals? What were your goals? And everything associated with, kind of just looking back and reflecting on, hey, did this year go the way I wanted it to? If it did, cool. What did we do well? If it didn't, what went well, but what could we maybe change to next time? This is solely a call based on reviewing your past year's performance and understanding where you were so that a next step or in a subsequent training or on your own, you can learn or discover or get clarity on where you want to go. So to begin with, I have two things. One is a file, like a Google document that can be filled out on your own. If you want access to that, just comment document and I can give you that. It's very simple, allows you to kind of fill it out with yourself, excuse me, on your own. And all you need to do is really hit file, make a copy, and you can access that and as well comment in your own information. Okay. But what I'll do is I'll go through this in another area right here. I'm just going to admit one of our members here. I'm going to jump on the call. Hey, Lori, I'm just recording this, so I will share my screen and go through this training.
Okay.
Okay, so next piece of this is going to look like me opening the appropriate document as best as I can. There we go. So, a business year in review. Now, this is a simple way to look at your health, financial health, and revenue and everything associated with that. So, the first thing we want to look at and be mindful of is the total revenue. So, if you get that access to that form, first thing you're going to say is total revenue. And this is just gross revenue. So, whatever it is, let's just pretend for simplicity it's 100K, 200K, 500K, a million. I don't care, but let's just say it's 100K. Okay. The second thing you want to think about is the revenue growth. How did it compare to 2023? Okay. So let's say you did 90, 80, 75, doesn't matter, but you just put in that next space. Let's say it was 75K. After that, we want to think about what our profit margin was. So what's the percentage? We're going to say profit margin. And this is just for 2024. So in 2024, let's say, oops, I don't know why it made that color. Maybe it doesn't like my writing. Let's say it cost you 75,000 in operating expenses and you made 100,000. Well, the percentage of your total income you get to keep or reinvest after taxes and or expenses are paid is 25,000. So that's 25% is your profit, your net profit margin, I should say. I'll just throw net in the front of there. Okay. Now, key streams of revenue is the last piece of revenue and financial health you want to think about. So you'll look at your services and be like, hey, which of my services were really the big things that, most or some portions of my revenue came from. So we'll say key rev stream. And you're just going to kind of make note of that. Lots of people have third-party software that allows for them to see kind of like a pie and what percentage of their business revenue came from what service. So you're just going to write down your top 1 to 2 services that provided the most amount of revenue. So what we're going to do with each of these examples is then reflect on these things. Okay, so one is data, second portion is reflect. So let's say I'll just write that here. Step 1, get the data. Step 2 for each of these examples is reflection. So with revenue and financial health, a way we might reflect is, what worked well when it came to generating revenue. Well, you know what? I deployed this new service, which was fill in the blank. Let's just pretend it's dog training or whatever, grooming. It doesn't really matter. And you know what? It was very well received. I'm gonna pretend it's actually enrichment. So for your reflection, what worked well in generating revenue? Hey, we added an enrichment option to our boarding facility, and surprisingly, it added like $1,500 per month and barely takes any work. Okay, cool. Okay, that's question number one for reflection. So what worked? Okay. Second question of that is, what area of your business did you possibly lose money or could be improved? So, for example, if you're like, you know what, I did the math. One of my services, let's just pretend it's your dog training and it's group classes. You're like, if I have less than four participants in a group class, I'm losing money. And, I had a bunch of classes this year that only had three in them. That could be something that is simple for you to be mindful of. Hey, there's no point of me even hosting a group class if I have less than four, because four is my slightly make money. Three is I lose money. So that next piece is where needs improvement. Okay. Now, the second piece we're going to move over to is client metrics. So with client metrics, what we want to look at, and it depends on your business. Some software you can figure this out really easily, some you can't. But like how many, whoops, didn't mean to do that. So part one is new clients. How many? So for me with business consulting, I have a spreadsheet that I can see very quickly. I don't know why that red line comes around. It doesn't like my writing, or maybe I misspelled something. I don't know. Anyway, how many new clients did I get? Well, I can easily see that. You should look if you have access to it. Next piece of it is retention rate. Now, it depends on what kind of services you offer, right? If it's like a one-time thing, then you might have a low retention because most pet services you can have a high retention rate at. But obviously it depends. So how many clients returned for repeat services? So out of those, so for me, if I look at my list of, hey, how many clients did I get for business consulting? I can see all of them on a list, and then I can see how many people signed up for a second program after their initial one. So that's information you want to know. It can be a percentage, or you can literally just have a number. But either way, let's just say it's 100 new clients, and let's say your retention rate was 50. Whatever the numbers are, it's just data. You don't have to feel good or bad about it. Next thing you can look at is client feedback. So, what were people saying? If they weren't saying a whole lot of anything, or did you get testimonials, complaints, or did people give you suggestions or recommendations? Those are all things you could kind of, uh, you know, consider right now. Is it, hey, are one of these things a lot more prominent than the other? Oh, you know what? I got a whole bunch of testimonials. I got a whole bunch of complaints. I got a whole bunch of suggestions. Okay, well, if one of them has a theme, then you might need to give some attention to that specific area. So let's just pretend you had suggestions and complaints. Well, you might have not got testimonials because you might have not asked for them, just as a heads up. Anyway, number three, operational efficiency. So this is gonna, if you're a solopreneur, less important, pretty much. But if you have a team, this is gonna resonate a lot more. So what's operational efficiency? Well, we're gonna look at time management. So I'm just gonna say time MGT. And that means, did the team operate efficiently or efficient with efficiency? So it depends. I won't go into too much for that, but let's just pretend if you were a pet sitter and you had someone who did daily dog walks. You're like, they do a daily dog walk, but it takes them an hour when the walk itself is only 30 minutes. Returned within a calendar year or just a period? Oh, thanks for the question, Lori. Um, I would just say in the calendar year. It was relating to retention rates. So time management. Okay. The next piece of operational efficiency is performance. And some examples of this can be, did you utilize your team's skills effectively? Um, I don't know, maybe this iPad is telling me that it doesn't like how I draw or write, rather, performance. So, for example, if you didn't, let's just say you weren't able to give your team enough hours, or you have someone who's a dog trainer, but you're not don't have any dog training business for them, that might be like, no, you know what, we didn't utilize some of our team's skill sets as effectively as we maybe could have. Third piece is systems and automation. Okay. Now, what does that mean? Well, what processes did you improve or might need updating? So, for example, it might be automation in the form of if you're a dog trainer and you manually take over the phone people's registration forms. Yeah, how old's your dog? What age or what breed are they? Are they neutered, spayed, blah, blah, blah. Well, an automation might be getting an online registration form where they can complete all that information without taking time from you. All right. Now, the fourth aspect is marketing and sales, which you can see in red in the middle. I'm just going to point a line down here. So, for let's say marketing to start with. Oops. What was effective for a campaign? So whether that was a paid campaign or a free one, it doesn't matter. But let's just say you want to be mindful of, oh, you know what? I did a 2 week paid ad campaign or on the radio or whatever you did, that was really effective to help me get 10 new clients. Okay, cool. Check, write that in there. Okay. Second part is where were sources of leads? So lead sources, where did most of them come from? Was it social media? Which social media platform? Was it referrals? Et cetera. You want to be at least have an inkling of where those came from. If you don't have the data, it's pretty easy. You're like, oh, this one boarding facility as a dog trainer referred a whole bunch of business because everyone told me. Cool. Okay. You want to know that as well. Third aspect is sales conversion rates. Now, this isn't necessarily data all of you will have, but if you sell higher ticket offers and you do like sales calls, for example, then you would probably have access to this information, or you should. So you know, hey, what percentage of inquiries for, let's say, board and training do people actually say yes to? That's good to know because let's say it's 10% or 20%, you're like, oh, if I just increased my sales process or skills and I close 30 to 40%, that would dramatically improve my um, monthly income without really needing to do work with more cases or sorry, rather, without needing to get more leads. Okay. So the reflection part of that with the marketing in and of itself is like what strategies worked well and where was your best ROI? Oops. Now, this will be a lot easier if you just look at the document and fill it out for there. I have the reflection and everything in right there. So maybe what I'll do is just do a briefer, how do you say, recap of this. And then I can just get you all access that want it to the form, and then you can just answer it as you want. That way, I don't have to explain every little thing. And then you can, get more out of this call with a little bit less time watching it. So, what I'll go to next is goal performance. Annual goals. Which goals were met or exceeded? So we'll say met or more. So that can be financial goals, or it can be you wanted to add a training space or improvements, etc. Okay. Which efforts brought the best ROI? So let's just say highest ROI. Maybe that was, your daycare or whatever service. Doesn't really matter. Just reflect on that. Sorry, these two examples I gave were for marketing. But for goal performance, when it comes to that, what I want to look at, if I can get rid of some of this, is annual goals. Okay, I already said that. So met, not three or more. And then the second piece are what goals fell short. So let's say you were 10, 20, 30, 50, 100K below what you wanted to make. You should know that. Okay. What's the reflection? What factors contributed to success or failure? Number 6, what we'll do is go to personal and team development, this gray box, and the questions that you're going to ask yourself are skills game. Did you or your team develop any new skills? So, for example, for myself personally, reflecting back from the year, I did a whole sales reorganization and restructure and training for like a few months. That was very beneficial and helpful to me. So that would be something that I personally could write. Next piece is looking at, team morale. If it's just you, how do you feel? If you have a team, how satisfied and motivated is your team? Are they excited about what they've been doing? Are they interested in coming back to work? Or are they kind of drab? That's what I'm trying to say. Or are they not very excited about what they're doing and they feel like their job's redundant and maybe they're just not very enthusiastic? Because, for example, sometimes when we help our team gain skills, they become more enthusiastic and excited. For example, let's just pretend you run a boarding facility and you start teaching some of your kennel techs or whatever you want to call them dog training skills, or they take a course that can really inspire the team to get excited about what they're doing because they can see that their job might change as time goes on. The last piece of personal and team development is work-life balance. Hey, did you, as a business owner, maintain a healthy balance? The answer might be yes. The answer might be no. But it's just trying to look at, what, this was a really tough year or this was a great year. Whatever the facts are fine. Just, writing them down. No, it was a hard year or it was good or whatever. Your reflection will really just be what personal or team milestones did you achieve and how can you improve on your well-being or cohesion. Last piece, opportunities for improvement. This, you're just going to really list 3 things with 3 different questions. Okay. 3 things to stop doing in 2024. To stop. 3 things to do more of. And 3 things to explore, new ideas to explore. Okay, so some simple examples might be, hey, 3 things I want to stop. Well, I want to stop advertising in this way because I didn't really find that it gave me as much value as I had hoped it would. Fine. I also want to stop offering this particular service because it's not worth my time or I don't enjoy it anymore, etc. 3 things we want to do more of. Maybe it's doubling down on certain marketing things, etc. So, anyways, this is going to probably take you to get all this information from, and to complete this document, maybe half an hour to an hour. And that's totally fine. What I would encourage you to do is take the time to do that. That way, you can have a really good litmus and idea of how you did this past year. So when you do decide to design your 2025 goals, targets, structure, what you want to achieve in the business, etc., you have a really good sense of, hey, what happened last year? Do I want to replicate that? Or do I want to alter it? Or do I want to just add on top and optimize it? Hopefully, this training was helpful. And if you want that document, just let me know in the comments. And otherwise, that's it for now.